Hi, it's Sean, the Fluency Awesomeizer, and this is Decoding Multi-Syllabic Words, episode 81. Got 5 words I'm going to take a look at today. Let's get started here. Let's read these right out loud. What's this first word? And this one. The third word. And this. And finally. All right, for any of those tricky to read, and to keep watching, I'm going to show you some strategies you can use when you're reading independently and you get stuck on words like those. But first, a reminder of the fable, The Tortoise and the Hare, and that moral, slow and steady wins the race, which is great advice when you do get stuck on a big unfamiliar word like this one. Think of those words as races. There is a finish line, and if you read like the hare, you might want to get finished before anyone else. You'll zip through a big word like this. That's where mistakes can easily happen. But if you read like the tortoise and take it slow and steady when you get to these words, that patience is definitely going to improve your ability to decode in the moment when you're stuck on it independently. Let's get started reviewing these words. This first word is tricky. Look at the beginning. It's got this UI vowel pair. It's not very common. What do you do with that? Well, you think about what you know. It reminds me of the word build. In build, you just hear the I sound in build, a short I sound build. So maybe it's this. But if you remember the old rule, when two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking, maybe you hear the U, and that might sound like news. And is that science? This is the word nuisance. Nuisance is a noun, and we have that word in English from an old French word, nuisance. And in French, long ago, that meant harm or damage. And the trick to this word is that the UI comes from that French spelling. And you just hear the U in nuisance, right? And so that rule, when two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking, that applies here with nuisance. And the other thing is this A-N-C-E spelling. That is a French spelling. And this is pretty common, so check it out. It's not spelled like ants. Keep in mind, these words, you're not going to spell it with the ending ants. It rhymes with ants. So dance, chance, glance, balance, elegance. Those are some examples of old French spellings we have in English, and nuisance too, which now means someone or something annoying, like a mosquito or no internet. Oh, that's the worst. Nuisance. Not to be confused with this one, which is pretty, I think, pretty simple. Yeah, there's the word nonsense. And that's a noun, of course, and the root word is sense. That makes sense. And it's worth talking about this prefix non, though, for a minute, nonsense. It goes way back to Latin, nonsense, that prefix, and you see it pretty often in English. Meant in Latin not, and in French, N-O-N, that's how you say no in French, non. So we have it in English as a prefix, nonsense. Doesn't make sense. All right, this word's a pretty tricky word. It starts with con. There's tin. And here's that UI vowel pair again. What do we do with this? Well, I know that a lot of words end with ing. So maybe this is new-ing, continuing. Oh, I know what this is. This is continuing. Yeah, continuing is a verb. The root is continue. And continue, think about continue. A lot of times the letter U actually says you. So let's stop and talk about that for a minute. You can sound like the word you. And I like to say when you says you say continue. Just a way to remember that. That rule about you doesn't get talked about too much. It goes back to Latin as well. Continuare in this example is an old Latin origin of the word continue. That's where that you says you comes from Latin. And in Latin, that means to keep on doing, whatever, continue. It became a French word from Latin, continue. See that UE and continue? Yeah, that's how we spell in English from that French spelling. Continue. Continue has a silent E. We're going to drop it and add ing to make the verb continuing. Tricky word. Not to be confused with this. I think we all know this word. Do you know the OU vowel pair when you see it? Ow, count. Yeah, this is counting. And that's a verb, of course. Root words count. But the interesting thing about count is that the origin of that word is the Latin word computare. Yeah, the U says you in computare, and now we have the word compute in English. And computer is like a fancy version of the old counter, the old-fashioned counter in math class, right? Computer. All right, last word here, continent. Yeah, the continent, social studies word, noun, of course. And you should know your continents by now, I think. 7 continents on planet Earth. Continent. All right, I'm going to finish here with a passage I've written to test you to test your fluency here. I want you to get ready to read. You're going to hit pause to read this out loud. All right, you ready? I want you to hit pause, read this out loud. All right, that's it for today. How'd you do with that, by the way? Subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Facebook for more decoding videos like this one. On my Facebook page, there's a photo album full of reading challenges I've written to help you practice decoding those big words and to awesomize your fluency. I hope you can tell a friend or a family member about me, spread the good word about what I'm doing at my YouTube channel and the Facebook page, and come back and see me soon. Bye.